These past 4 weeks, I challenged myself to eating at least 30 different types of plants a week. Now, I can't really say yet if it's doing any good in terms of my IBS, but I do think it was a really useful thing to do. Let me tell you why. Now, to begin with, eating 30 plants a week is supposed to help with your gut health, and it's been linked to a more varied gut microbiome in a 2018 study, which I'll link in the description below, and also higher fiber intake, which we all know is very important at this point. However, for me specifically, I did this because my dietitian recommended it to me. Due to my IBS, I have become used to a very limited diet, and that's not good for me in the long term. Plus, it's really inconvenient. So we're using this to get me used to eating more varied foods again, but also training my gut to accept them. So in this video, I'll walk you through how it went and what good it did, but more importantly, if it's sustainable, because we're talking about the long term here and not a one-off challenge. So my first reaction when I heard about this was, how many plants? Because 30 sounded like a lot, but this includes nuts and seeds and officially even herbs and spices to some extent, but I decided not to count those because those quantities are tiny. But in that respect, that becomes a little bit easier. And really what all this is about is going for inclusion rather than exclusion, because I've become used to excluding foods because, oh, I can't have that, I can have that. But now we're trying to go more towards what can I have, or in what amounts can I have something that I might not tolerate in larger amounts. To begin with, I ordered myself a big pile of all different nuts and seeds, and then I started to feel more confident about it. And I decided to track on a fridge whiteboard magnet. Now this was not part of these 4 weeks. This was last week and Christmas, so I kind of lost track at one point, but it's Christmas, doesn't matter. And I deliberately put this on my fridge because then when I'm meal prepping or eating, a snack or so, I immediately write it down. It's right in sight. I can't forget about it. And it really worked. It really worked. Week 1 was surprisingly easy. I went in prepared, I planned, I did the things, I adapted food I was already eating. So I already had like oatmeal as a second breakfast, and I just added in more seeds and nuts and fruits to that. So that wasn't too much difference from my usual routine. Same with a chia pudding breakfast, that's chia seeds, but then I put in hemp seeds and flax seeds, I think, and also nuts and fruits, or maybe a bit of peanut butter, and then you already have like 5-6 different plants in one meal, which started me off great. And then I also, in the first week, immediately tried a mango smoothie bowl, and I've never really done a smoothie bowl before, but I've got a good blender, so I decided to give that a go. I'm not a huge fan of mango, but you can get it frozen. A lot of frozen fruit worked out really well for this challenge as well. So I did that, and I don't know, it kind of surprised me. In the first week, I was already trying new things, which is exactly what we were going for. The second week, I got a bit overconfident. So by the end of the week, I just about didn't make the 30. But even then, I ate more different types of plants than I had before the challenge. So all good. That week also included a work dinner where we went to it's kind of dual Chinese sushi place, because I can have sushi most of the time. So you get your rice and your seaweed and a couple of other types of plants in there. That worked really well. And also I made myself a rice bowl for dinner a couple of times, because you can top that with lots of different little bits and pieces. So a little bit of spinach, a little bit of grated carrot. I even tried beetroot And I used to think I didn't like beetroot, but apparently nowadays I don't mind it. So I had a tiny jar of beetroot, just one scoop, done. By week 3, I got the routine down. I don't think I made week 3 exactly. I think I got to 29, which, good enough. But I had the breakfast routine down, my second breakfast routine at work, because I eat a lot of small meals across the day. I can't really do big meals very often. So I had my first breakfast at home, and then my second breakfast is like 10 o'clock at work, and that was the oatmeal. And then I brought cooked lunch to work, because I don't really eat bread anymore. Because of wheat, I can't have wheat. Yeah, that's also inconvenient. So cooked lunch to work. So I end up with a lot of the different little containers I take with me. But then you can also really plan what you eat across the week. So meal prep in the weekend, got your little tubs in your fridge. And then later in the week, you might have to cook again. But then that also gives you another opportunity to do something completely different, add in more plants. So that worked really well at that point. Oh, yeah. I'm just looking at my notes because I don't want to forget anything. Just like in week 3, I had lentil pasta. That was a bad idea because I can have some lentils, but lentil pasta is so concentrated and then it's so easy to eat a lot of it. I wasn't thinking at this point. I think my mum gave me the lentil pasta and I was like, okay, yummy, I'll make that. And I did. And I got ill and I had my usual headache, nausea for a couple of days and it wasn't great. So lentils are on the list, but I did eat them, but I regretted it. So in future, lesson learned, I can have like a spoonful of lentils from the actual can of lentils or something like that, but no lentil pasta. And in week 4, I got all 30 plants done. So that worked out really well. I got the meal prep down. I had... it's really about a new routine and thinking and being more deliberate about the routine. Not meal prepping too much. So what I did quite often is because I live on my own, I only cook for myself, but then I still make big portions, and then some of them I put in the fridge to save for the rest of the week, like 2 or 3 of them, not more than that. And the rest I put in the freezer because then you could have it the week after or the week after that instead of eating the same thing the whole week, which is what I tended to do before that. And that's not good for the diversity of your diet. So that's a good tip. Use meal prepping and your freezer in combination. That works. And then weekends kind of get tricky because that's when the routine goes out of the window. But then I'd lean more towards things like yogurt bowls and little bits and pieces from leftovers and anything I made fresh. That's when I made more nicer meals sometimes, but also sometimes in the weekends it degenerates to whatever can I grab from my fridge. So I need to work on the weekend food still. But that's also when I'd try food that doesn't freeze very well. So I'd make stuff with mushrooms and things like that. Because otherwise you limit yourself as well. If everything goes in the freezer, you can't have all the different types of plants that don't freeze well. So now, has this helped my food sensitivities? I have no idea. I think that I really need to continue this for much longer to really feel the effects of that, and probably push boundaries a bit more in terms of how much I eat of foods that I know I'm sensitive to, just to try and move those boundaries a bit and train my gut, because apparently that's something you can do to some extent. We know for lactose that works quite well. For the other fermentable sugars, a bit less, but we'll see. But what it has really done is made me more confident in trying new things, because I've tried new things in small quantities and it was fine. It was when I went overboard with the quantities, like the lentil pasta, that was not fine. So yeah, I can try bits and pieces of things, and that counts as well, because even a spoonful or 2, that's something your gut has to learn to deal with. And I suppose that's good practice for it. This is definitely something for the long term, and luckily it also proved quite sustainable for me in any case. It does. I don't particularly enjoy cooking. I'm not a foodie. I don't enjoy spending hours in the kitchen. So that's why I got on the meal prepping as well. But I have to keep that in the routine because most things, you ready-made food that, there's too much in there that I usually can't eat. So I just have to be more deliberate and plan my meal prep a bit better. But it's perfectly doable, I've noticed so far. Basically, I shouldn't fall into familiar routines too much because then you keep eating the same thing over and over and over again. So I think the tracking is going to be important. So I even noticed during this challenge that as soon as I didn't track consistently, I kind of fell off a little bit. So need to keep tracking, or maybe not every week, but once a month decide, okay, I'm going to track this week and see how far I get, and maybe then adjust based on that. And I need to, as I said, I need to plan the meal prep a bit more carefully, but definitely keep at it. Use it in combination with the freezer. So I've just got food stored for a longer period and don't eat the same thing every day for the week. And keep up with all the nuts and seeds and all the little things you can add to food. Like a handful of peas, you can add to almost anything. A handful of spinach, you can add to almost anything. Just have to be careful with food waste because things like spinach, I like fresh spinach, but usually the bags are too big for me. So I end up with frozen spinach because then at least I know, by the time I get to the end of the bag, I don't have to throw it away. And try small amounts. For me specifically, push the boundaries of what I can have carefully so that in the future I can hopefully eat more different types of food or eat things that I currently cannot eat. Hopefully, let's go for it. I went into this aiming for at least 30 different plants a week. But I'm not upset I didn't always make that, because even when I didn't hit the 30 exactly, I was already eating a way more diverse diet than I did beforehand. And it really surprised me how quickly and easily I made that change. So I'm not sure that if it'll be the same for you, but I found once I really start putting effort in, it wasn't that much effort. And it snowballed kind of quickly. So that was great. Yeah, just trying for a goal and tracking it so you've got proof for yourself and keep yourself on track, that already made me eat better than I had before. And it made me more willing to try new things, which I hadn't been in a while. Now, this is also not just this diet, but also because I have a dietitian backing me up, basically. So I'd always recommend, if you have similar issues to me, to go see a dietitian, because they're supposed to know way more about this than we do, and they should really be able to help you figure out what works for you. Because what I'm doing might not work for you. I hope it does, but it might not. So my recommendation is always go talk to a dietitian. I'm going to keep tracking the plants I eat, maybe not every week, but once a month or so, just track it for a week to keep myself accountable to myself and eat a more diverse diet long term. So hopefully I can expand what I can comfortably eat in the future. Now, if you have similar issues like this or are working on eating a more diverse plant diet, do let me know in the comments. Any tips and tricks, what worked for you, let me know. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about my first 4 weeks running according to a starter's running plan. And if you're new here, I'm Sam, and I keep forgetting that until the very end. And I made an intro video for my channel, so you can go check out that as well. Bye-bye.